I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle from Washington tonight. President Biden's high-stakes press conference is expected to start at any minute as pressure builds in the Democrat Party for him to step aside. Now, this was Biden just a few hours ago introducing the Ukrainian president.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better. I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there. Number one. The fact is that...
Wow, this doesn't look good. One gaffe after another, the Democratic Party is divided over the Biden situation. This clip is President Joe Biden mistakenly referring to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as President Putin, the leader of Russia, at the end of this week's NATO summit Thursday, producing a gaffe that's certain to invite further scrutiny amid concerns about the president's age. Here's another angle of it where you could see how Zelensky reacted.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin.
Ever since his horrible debate performance, he's been on a tour trying to prove his competency. A radio station in Madison, Wisconsin said that its interview with President Joe Biden last week was edited by 16 seconds before it went on the air. According to a statement from Civic Media CEO Sage Weil, the interview between Biden and radio host Earl Ingram was recorded on the 3rd of July and aired on July 4th on stations across Wisconsin. On Monday, however, Civic Media management said it learned that immediately after the phone interview was recorded, the Biden campaign called and asked for 2 edits to the recording before it aired. Listen to this from Sky News Australia.
Look, this is a critical day because the pressure's been mounting while Joe Biden's been hosting world leaders for NATO. While back home, we're now up to 11 members of Congress who said that they want Joe Biden to step aside for this presidential election. This revelation that there's been another huge interference by the Biden administration into a radio interview is just putting all that together for his critics to say that he can't handle the campaign trail, so he won't be able to handle another 4 years in the White House. This radio station, which was one of 2 granted interviews after his disastrous debate performance, has now put out a lengthy statement admitting that those who were part of the production team on the day responded to a request from the Biden administration to remove 2 parts of the interview. They said that they didn't think it was consequential at the time, but the management has since reviewed it and does think, especially in the context of the questions around Joe Biden's mental competency, do think that these 2 bits that were taken out are relevant. So they've published the actual original audio, which we can show to you now.
In addition to that, I have more blacks in my administration than any other president, all of the presidents combined, and major positions, cabinet positions. I don't know if they even call for their hanging or not, but they said they're convicted of murder.
That second one was apparently in reference to Donald Trump calling for the death sentence for the Central Park 5, which is obviously quite historic and interesting in the context. So this is all building as pressure mounts on Capitol Hill. We've had one of the most senior Democrats on Capitol Hill weigh into the debate around whether they should ask him to step aside within his own party, and he's admitted it's a very unsettled debate still.
Throughout this week, as House Democrats, we have engaged in a process of talking to each other. Those conversations have been candid, comprehensive, and clear-eyed, and they continue. Until that process has concluded, I'm not going to address what any outside stakeholders may have to say about this matter.
Even Jake Tapper from CNN couldn't hide how bad this looks.
President Biden called in for a radio interview, one of these interviews done to kind of quell concerns and show the president was fine and completely on point. After he did that call, the Biden campaign called that station asking them to edit out 2 of his answers. Civic Media, Wisconsin Progressive Talk Radio Network, acknowledged that staff took out the Biden campaign's suggested edits, deleting 2 answers from the president's July 3rd interview with host Earl Ingram. The first answer is Biden said, quote, "I have more blacks in my administration than any other president, all other presidents combined, and in major positions, cabinet positions." Obviously not an accurate thing to say. The second, when Biden was talking about Trump's past comments about the Central Park Five, and we should note, like, this is a big journalism no editing out an answer because the politician in his campaign didn't like it, or they didn't like how he came across. I don't know exactly the reason. We'll find out from the Biden campaign maybe someday.
After all of that, President Biden had his highly anticipated big boy press conference Thursday, his first formal solo press conference in Washington since 2022, where he would try to address calls to bow out of the 2024 race. Joe Biden started his make-or-break press conference Thursday with an embarrassing gaffe, calling Kamala Harris Vice President Trump. The flub was an answer to the very first question at what the White House had called the big boy press conference, which was supposed to see off doubts about his cognitive ability in the wake of his disastrous debate performance 2 weeks ago. It was just 2 hours after he called Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky President Putin.
On the last day of the NATO summit, a mortifying gaffe.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. We're going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky.
But lucky for President Biden, he had one opportunity to help us forget his terrible faux pas. Here's how that went.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president.
We're pretty sure he meant his actual VP, Kamala Harris.
Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory. How do you combat that criticism from tonight?
The president spent the rest of his time fending off the media feeding frenzy.
Your decline has become noticeable.
It is not your enemies who are calling on you to reconsider your decision. It's your friends.
They're worried about the next bad night and the bad night after that.
Would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. No one's saying that.
But despite his fumbles,
Today, I brought on, I asked our NATO allies.
Coughs,
Excuse me.
and brain freezes,
Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Australia. I already mentioned Australia.
Look at how his staff reacts to the gaffe. It's soul-crushing. His staff, Vice President Trump.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there. Number one. The fact is that the consideration is...
The Democrats are absolutely melting down from all of this. It's so great to see. The internet, of course, is also undefeated. Look at this AI render of what Vice President Trump might look like. This is really just how the corporate press has continued to lie to us over and over again. Here, look at this clip from Vivek. Explain this.
Look, I think the most important part is the indictment of the media. And many people, Sean, have asked, why are we focused on the media? Well, here's the answer. If the media had been fault-free in the last few elections, maybe this wouldn't be about the media. But this is the same media that lied in 2016 about the Trump-Russia collusion hoax, lied in 2020 on the eve of the election about the Hunter Biden laptop story, and now the same media on the eve of this election that lied about Joe Biden's health. So the sad part is in this country, it has now become a tradition, sadly, in every election for there to be at least one major lie the media is told on the eve of a major presidential election. And that needs to stop to rebuild trust in this country. That's why this goes beyond Joe Biden and goes to the issue of public trust in this country. As it relates to Biden, Sean, he's done. Biden is done. This is just a question of price. They're negotiating the exit package. I mean that metaphorically, if not literally. That's what that looks like. But the media question is going to outlive Biden's exit and is going to require a lot of healing in this country to get over.
That really is the issue. It really is amazing to see them all work in unison. This is the first time in a while that you see some sort of division in the ranks of the media apparatus. It's very strange to see one show on CNN say it's time for a change and another turn a blind eye to everything. It's hilarious to see the media meltdown like this. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to get up-to-date news. I'll leave you with this last clip from Joe Rogan.
Look at Joe Scarborough. What does he say?
Is this the one you're looking for?
Yeah. Let me hear it.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth.
It's 6 in the morning. It's 6 in the morning. F you.
This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically,
is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. I've known him
Not
for
a close
years.
second.
The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years.
And we're
If
all
it weren't
fucking
the
liars.
truth, I wouldn't say it.
And these people say that Trump's a liar. I mean, Trump's a huge bullshitter for sure, but
we're in a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. And so, can you imagine the people? I don't know how many people watch that show, but
45 people.
Can you imagine still tuning in after that?
Yes. I would fucking wake and bake and let's go. Tell me about the world, Joe.
Well, I used to watch.